Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Aset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who may like it as well. Also, if you have time, please leave us a positive comment in the comment section. I love waking up and reading your comments, okay? So, I want to talk to you guys about something last night that happened that I thought was very, very serious, very disturbing to me because I got a message from an Aquarius. I've known this Aquarius for years. She's only 20, I think she's 27 by now. And I've known her for years. She's a nice girl, but she's had a lot of problems with dating, which in this day and age I come across pretty often. So anyway, she told me that since the last time she spoke to me, which was like 6 months ago, she has started to date this guy. Now, it's only been 2.5 months. This guy is a Capricorn, dating him for 2.5 months. So I was like, that's your first mistake, because Capricorn and Cancer are two of the most difficult vibrations for an Aquarius to get along with in a relationship. Their charts have to match up perfectly for it to work out. So whenever an Aquarius tells me they're seeing a Capricorn, I'm automatically like, huh? I'm automatically listening a little bit harder just to hear what's going on. So she said to me that one of the things she likes about him is that he's very serious about her. He is on time when he says he's going to be on time. He if he's entertaining other women, it's not obvious to her because he's always in her face. And she said that that's what makes her like him, because a lot of men she's come across, she can tell they have so many options. And in this day and age, I think we all really do. But she said that she doesn't really feel like men really focus on one woman at a time, and she feels like many of us, men, male and female, are starting to do the same thing. So she likes the fact that he's really focused on her. He follows through on what he says he's going to do. They go on actual dates. They don't just Netflix and chill. Like she says he wears nice clothes. I was like, what? He has a suit? I'm like, okay. So she was like, he has nice clothes and they've gone nice places, and he gives her little trinkets, not anything major. It's only been 2.5 months. And she said that he gives her small trinkets. Like the first time they went out, he bought her flowers and little things like that. She said it's clear to her that he's been raised to be a gentleman. So she loves that. A lot of women do. Even though men don't know that, I'm putting you down. A lot of women are very impressed by that kind of behavior, especially looking nice, smelling nice, great energy. So I said, well, so far he sounds pretty good. So what's the problem? And she said on 3 different occasions, it was 3, he had an outburst. And she wanted to tell me about the outburst and what did I think of it, because her other friends are telling her it's no big deal and to just keep it moving. But she says something about it keeps coming to her consciousness. So she thought to herself, let me ask Queen, because Queen talks about relationships. So I said, okay, shoot. And she said the first time they got into not really an argument, but a disagreement about their opinion. And he told her that her opinion was stupid, that nobody thinks like that, basically is what he said. He said more words than that, but basically he was like, nobody thinks like that, and your opinion is stupid, basically is what he said. It didn't make sense, I think is the word that he used. So she said that she just took it as a disagreement. You know, he didn't agree with her, and she changed the subject. She changed it to a different topic, and they moved on. Another time they were on the phone about 3 weeks later, and they were on the phone and they got into a conversation about a movie. They were supposed to go to the movies and they were trying to decide which movie to see. And he told her that only stupid people, because the kind of movie she wanted to see, he said only dumb people watch movies like that. It was like some kind of an action thriller kind of movie. And he wanted to go see something else. And he was telling her that that particular genre, only dumb people like those kinds of movies. So she said that this is the second time he's, talking about somebody else's intelligence, her intelligence, and she was just like, okay. Then the third time he yelled at her and said something to the effect of, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Basically. Now, after every outburst, she said he apologized profusely. She said she didn't even have to say anything. She didn't even say like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Before she could say anything, he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry." Every time. So she said to me, she told her other friends about it, and her other friends are like, "Well, he apologized. It's only been 2.5 months, those kind of things." And she asked me, what did I think about it? And I was like, I disagree. I disagree. I mean, I disagree from the depths of my soul, okay? And she was like, why? And I was like, you have to understand something. And I want you guys to remember this too. In the first 2-3 months of a relationship, usually, according to psychologists and sociologists, this is when the best version of you shows up in the relationship. A lot of people have what we call the representative. So it's the best version of them. It's the most sexy, the kindest, the most cooperative version of that person. So if you're seeing what I'm calling a red flag in the first 2 to 3 months, that tells me that person cannot control themselves. Now, he knows enough that behavior is not acceptable, so he cleans it up real quick as soon as it comes out. But what's bothering me is that he can't control it. So you mean to tell me you don't even know this woman and you're already yelling at her? So that tells me that he is more than likely abusive. And it could be the beginning stages of it. It could be, the beginning. Maybe he's never done anything but this before, and maybe he's gone full-fledged. And I told her, I said, many of us ignore the red flags in the first 2 to 3 months. And those are your first indications. That's your first caution that you're dealing with a lunatic. And I told her that Capricorns are known to be controlling. And controlling behavior can sometimes turn into abuse very quickly. So I was like, if he's already losing his temper and you've only been seeing each other for 2.5 months, that's a bad sign that he may not have a good handle on his temper. And what happens when a man doesn't have a good handle on his temper? It goes from yelling, sometimes it escalates. It goes from yelling, it goes to more yelling, it goes to punching the wall, then it goes to punching you. So me personally, if a man or a woman was yelling at me and losing their temper with me over small things like this in the first 2.5 months, I would ghost them. I would stop calling them. I wouldn't have nothing else to say, because I have been in enough situations with people and ignored the red flags and grew to regret it. Okay, my daughter's father is a Capricorn, and he is exactly the same way. There were small indications that I can look back at now. I can look back at the whole first year, and there were indications that there was problems with him. But I was only 15. I didn't know any of this stuff back then. So I blew past all of the red flags, all of the caution, all of the things that wasn't quite right, and was like, it'll be okay. It's not a big deal. And it was a big deal. I ended up having to flee him, literally. I literally had to get a restraining order to get away from him. We got into several fistfights. The cops came to the house more time than I care to admit. And all because I ignored things like this in the beginning. So I caution you, if you're dating, to not blow past red flags. If a person is easily incited to anger to the point where they can't control themselves from yelling at you or grabbing you or doing something like that, that is a person who has poor control over themselves. More than likely a control freak or somebody who has poor impulse control. And that, like I said before, can lead to other controlling behaviors, and controlling behaviors lead to abuse. So if you up front see little things like this in the first 2-3 months, whatever bad behaviors you see in the first 2-3 months are really big things, because most of us, like I said, send our representative at first. So we don't show, we don't necessarily show those parts of ourselves. We do our best not to show the ugliest parts of ourselves. So if you're seeing that in 2, 3, 4, 5 months, that means they can't control themselves. So to me, that's a problem. And it's not a problem right now. Like, that's probably why her friends are like, oh, no, it's not a big deal. No, it's not a problem today. He's a nice guy. He's dressing nice. He's taking you nice places. But what about in 6 years? What about in 10 years? These types of behaviors just escalate if you make it to 10 years, if you make it to 6 years. You know, so these types of behaviors escalate and they can become very dangerous. A controlling person who turns abusive can hurt you, not just physically, emotionally, mentally. They can kill you. You never know where that vibration is going to go and how bad it can get. So I would ghost them, quite frankly. But you can do whatever you want as far as that is concerned. You can talk to him and tell him how you feel. You can, you can do that any way that you want. But if I were you, I would stop seeing him. At the very least, I would slow down. At the very least, I would slow down that relationship and give myself more time to see what is going on here. Me personally, after being through this situation, the reason why I said I would ghost him is because I've been in this situation and I already have studied Capricorns. I've studied Capricorns like homework. So this, to me, in my mind, this is a sign that he more than likely is going to go into that controlling domain. This is where it starts. He's calling you names. He's putting you down. He's screaming at you. The next thing you know, it's going to just get worse and worse and worse. The controlling behaviors just get worse. So I would just jet. I would just cut him off. I would just disappear. I wouldn't go talk to him, me personally, because that might make him snap. So I would just disappear. He just would be wondering where I was at forever. Forever he'd be wondering. Now, some people who are kinder than me would send a text message or an email or, something along those lines. And then yet other people would slow down the relationship and kind of watch and see what it's hitting for. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't do either of the latter. I would do the first one because, like I said, these things escalate. So if you slow things down so you can see what's going on, that's going to give this more time to escalate. The next time he might slap you. And it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games, and women are like, oh, well, he didn't mean, or men will be like, oh, she didn't mean it that way. It's all fun and games until you're in the emergency room. It's all fun and games until you get really hurt, or he's doing this and it's your child. Now you've had kids with him, and now he's beating and controlling your children. You see, these things, like I said, they escalate, and they go from one little off-color comment to something worse. And I know that because he is good in the other ways, he smells good, he looks good, he's taking you out. Those things are those are very tempting things. I understand that. But if it was me, I would leave him alone. So just be very careful. Whatever you decide to do, be very, very cautious because you're more than likely dealing with the controlling man. Okay? All right, sweetheart. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll give you an appointment. If you would like to contact me just to chit chat, or you have something you want to tell me, maybe a question for Asking Aquarius, you can email that to me as well. And you can also drop me a message on social media. Please check out my Patreon page because right now I'm preparing for Saturday's episode of the Witch Trials, and I'm going to do a very interesting movie. It's a horror movie, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's called Suspiria. I think that's how you pronounce it, because all I did was read it. I didn't listen to the pronunciation. But it's from 2018, and there was another version from the 70s. I'm going to do the more recent one. And so if you want to be able to see the witch trials, to continue to see the witch trials, you should come over to my Patreon page and sign up to be a patron. It's very inexpensive, and it helps me keep the channel going. And you get to see the witch trials once a week. And this horror movie is going to be the first horror movie I've done. So I'm looking forward to it. And I heard it's a good movie. Okay, guys? So come back soon, because if you have to ask somebody, you might as well ask an Aquarius. See you later.